Okay, maybe that'll clear it up. Hopefully it'll clear it up. Sorry about that. ASMR bloopers. Just keep it in. Why not? Why not? Why not keep it in? So I didn't think of anything to talk about before I sat down. So I have a list of ideas. Let's just take a look at some of them. Okay. All the books I read in 2020. That's what we're talking about today. That's what I've decided we're talking about today. That's on the list. Let me pull up my list of books. I'm trying to read 50 books. I tried to read 50 books last year. I read 46. This year I'm trying to read 50 books again. So far I've read one. It's not bad. But I think by this point I should have like 3 done. So I'm a little behind, but just haven't been motivated. Been having trouble getting started, you know. Let's pull up this book list here. Books read. Boom. Here we go. And I will tell you about them. Book number 1 that I read in 2020 was The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. It's kind of like a motivational sales business book. It's kind of just like a motivational speaker on a lot of cocaine. He's just real amped. It's pretty good. I like it. I would say it's I'd recommend it, especially if you like want to get motivated. You're like, yeah, I'll get pumped up by that stuff. That's a good one. Second book I read, Atomic Habits by James Clear. That is that's a must-read book if you want to change your life. That's a game changer book. It talks a lot about building habits, building sustainable habits. And, you know, I like self-improvement. Put that one on your list. It's very good. I highly recommend it. The next book I read was Range. I don't remember who wrote that. A lot of these I won't remember the author. Sorry, because I didn't write it down because I'm stupid. But Range was pretty good. It's kind of a book about talking about why it's better to be a generalist than a specialist, which is something I've always believed. More so just because I think you have more opportunities. I feel like a lot of the common advice is to like get really good at one thing, but I don't, I think it's like, okay, well, what happens if that one thing becomes commoditized or just like not as necessary, or it becomes easier to do? Then you're kind of hosed, So if you specialize, it's good to like have deep knowledge on a couple subjects, but you should really have a good breadth of knowledge. Next book I read was 310 to Yuma. Real short story. They made a movie out of it. There's an audible version read by Henry Rollins. It's pretty good. It's like a half hour long. Give it a shot. Next book I read was The Color Out of Space by H.P. Lovecraft. Another short one. I think it's like 2 hours on Audible. It's real good. It's real creepy. They made a movie out of it. I haven't seen the movie. I kind of want to, though. I think Nicolas Cage is in it. But the book is bonkers. So, next one, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. It's a book on Stoicism written by like an old emperor of Rome. And it's just so, maybe I got a bad translation or something, but like, it felt so clunky to read, and it was such a slog to get through. I don't recommend it, unless maybe there's a better translation than the one I got, because it was just so clunky, and it's like, well, it's preserved, it's like how he wrote, and I'm like, yeah, but like, motherfucker didn't know shit about grammar, because it is terrible. There's a lot of great nuggets, but it's just like, finding them is just like, ugh. It's like, it needs to be updated and cleaned up, and if it was updated and cleaned up, it'd be really short. Anyway, the next book I read was The Code by Jocko Willink. It's a very short book. It feels kind of like his Discipline Equals Freedom field manual, and that it's just kind of like a page or two about topics, and it's very motivational, really good. I don't know if it's worth the price. It feels like it should have just been more of Discipline Equals Freedom, that book. I don't know why it had to be its own separate thing, because it's very short. Next one, Dr. Bernstein's Diabetes Solution. That was the first diabetes book I read. Super thorough. If you want to know everything about diabetes, that's your book. The Blue Ocean Strategy. That book, it was recommended to me by a podcast person, and they're like, it's a life changer. And I'm like, it really wasn't. It was just like, it talks about like, if you're a business, you gotta swim to the blue ocean. Swim where your competitors aren't. And you're like, well, yeah, no shit. That's easier said than done, dumbass. Next book, Diabetes Code, by Dr. Jason Fung. That's a really good one. It talks about how you can go about walking back diabetes. The author says you can cure it. I think remission might be a better term. There's not a lot of research on that stuff. It's kind of new, but the guy has promising results. So, give it a shot. The short version is fast. And fast really hard. And go to his clinic and fast with him because, his, process is, fast for 3 weeks. And then, go see the doctor every day and have your blood drawn and have tests and stuff. So it's pretty hardcore. But intermittent fasting can work for people. Eating better can help. That kind of stuff. Next book I read, book number 11, Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. I read that book every year. It's amazing. Highly recommend it if you do anything creative at all. But all 3 of his books, Steal Like an Artist, Show Your Work, and Keep Going. The must-reads. Absolute A+. Subscribe to his newsletter too. It's great. Next one I read was Silver Screen Fiend by Patton Oswalt. It's kind of a memoir of his love affair with film, and I like movies, and he likes movies, so it was real interesting, and I love Patton Oswalt, so highly recommend that one too. Next book I read was Get Your Shit Together. That had some good takeaways, but it was mostly forgettable. It's just kind of a generic, self-help, empowerment book, you got this. So, give it a shot, if you like that kind of stuff. Just kind of regurgitation of everything else I've heard in better ways from other books. The next book, Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual by Jocko Willink. Again, that's it's short. Each chapter is a page or 2. It's just real big print, so it's more like a paragraph or 2. It's just a real nice motivational book. He took a lot of the chapters, if you want to call them that, and made an it's like an audio thing. It's on Spotify, and so it's real nice to stick those into your workout playlists because there's a lot of real good motivating little bits. Next book was Intervention, which is a book by Dan John. It's not what you think. It's more about coaching athletes and coaching for personal training and what do people actually need. And he has a quadrant system, and he's most people want to be here, but what they really need is down here. And it's really just most people should be not training they're the boot camp stuff is not what most people need. Most people need mobility work and flexibility and sustainable stuff they can do almost every day. Not this kill yourself stuff, 2-a-day workout, if you can't feel your legs, you're doing it right. That stuff is, he thinks that's a recipe for disaster, and he points out even crazy athletes don't train like that. Navy SEALs train like that as part of Hell Week to break them mentally, but it has nothing to do with how they would actually train for combat. Anyway, the next one I read was The Minimalism Way, which was kind of a book about, minimalism, but it felt very, very look at me, I'm so cool because I'm a minimalist. It was very much, there's a lot of anecdotes, self-referential, I've got money for this, but I chose not to because I'm a good person. And you're fuck off, pretentious. Oh wait, sorry, I got that confused with another book. That one actually, wait, no, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I read a couple minimalism books last year. But yeah, I don't. they wrote, it's a left brain Marie Kondo. So, I don't know. It wasn't that good. The next one I read was The Decision by Kevin Hart. This is another kind of generic self-help book by Kevin Hart. There's some new things I had never heard before, so there was some good takeaways. One of them was he calls teddy bearing, which is like if you're he specifically talks about being a black man, but I think it applies to being anybody that has kind of a scary appearance. Like me, I'm 6'5", 270 pounds. I wear skeleton t-shirts all the time. He's like, you have to be like extra over the top nice, and I could see like that really opened my eyes. I was like, man, I know a lot of, like, I've met a lot of black people that like do that, like, especially black men that like are overly nice when they first meet you. And it's like, I'm like, man, that's just the reality. Like, that sucks for them, like, we gotta, I don't know what to do about the world, but shit's fucked. Show Your Work, Oscleon book about promoting yourself without feeling promoting and scammy. Very good. Keep Going, another Oscleon book. It's about, keeping going, working through hard times. So it's a great book to read, especially right now with all the COVID stuff going on. Principles for Success. That was it's Ray Dalio, but it's like the kids version of it. And so it's like, it was advertised as like, a book for all readers that like distills what is big book. And Principles is like a 600-page book, and it's like part memoir, part like business, part self-help. It's really weird how it like weaves this stuff together, but it's like so like, he'll be like talking and you're like, okay, and then he's like, here's 45 pages about my life and my children, and you're just like, bro, what does it have to do with anything you were just talking about? Come on. So you start to like space out at points because it gets like weird and boring. Anyway, Separate the Dawn, poetry book by Greg, I can't pronounce his last name, but he's the lead singer of the Dillinger Escape Plan. Just gorgeous poetry. I love it so much. Look it up. He's amazing. It's amazing. Separate the Dawn. The next book, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. That's another book I read pretty much every year. And it talks about the barriers to creating, most of which exist inside your head. He talks about the idea of resistance, which is just your brain kind of fighting you and like putting up walls and being like, oh, you're gonna fail and everyone's gonna laugh at you. And it kind of gives you some strategies and some tactics and some spiritual advice on how to weave and juke that idea, that force that keeps you from making stuff. Born Standing Up is Steve Martin's memoir. It's pretty good. I expected it to be funnier, but I also don't think Steve Martin's all that funny, so maybe I just like, the jokes just don't vibe with me because I'm not a huge Steve Martin fan. But it's pretty interesting, so I still recommend it. Almost Everything is a book by, what's her name? Anne Lamott. It's a good book. It's kind of talks about being gentle, being kind, that kind of stuff. She's an author, so it's pretty good. I think Bird by Bird is a better book, also by Anne Lamott. But it's alright. 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. That book is definitely outdated because it like doesn't mention the internet at all or e-commerce, so it's obviously like before that, but there's like still some good stuff in it. I probably wouldn't use it as like curriculum or a Bible for anything, but it's a very fast read, so you pound it out. You could probably pound it out in like a day, if you just are thumbing through it. It's alright, give it a shot. Consider This, a book by Chuck Palahniuk. He is the author of like Fight Club, Invisible Monsters, Joke, so many good books. It's basically his advice to authors, to aspiring authors, and he says in the book a lot like, I'm not a teacher, but if I was your teacher, this is what I would tell you. And it's kind of his like way of doing it. It's very good. And there's so many good stories just about his like life as an author. It just, if you're a fan of Chuck Palahniuk's work, it's worth reading just for those stories. But if you're an author or a creative person, all the better. It's great stuff. Let's see what else. Goodbye Things. Oh wait. Okay, so I was wrong. That other book, The Minimalism Way, is an okay book. Goodbye Things is the douchey one that I read. Okay, I got them mixed up. That's the one where he's just like, I had a stereo and a collection of cameras, and I got rid of them all because I'm minimalist. And you're like, alright, pretentious. Next book, Ego is the Enemy, Ryan Holiday. Game changer. Can't recommend that one enough. That will change your life. It's about Stoic philosophy, how to apply it to your life, how to get what you want out of life using Stoic philosophy. So good. Highly recommend it. Can't recommend it enough. Next one, Stillness is Key. Another book by Ryan Holiday. Just about, taking time to just vibe, and disconnecting, unplugging, being by yourself, and how valuable that can be. And we don't do that enough. So, another good one. Stoic stuff. Oh man, my voice is, I haven't been hydrating today, so that's probably why. If this isn't nice, what is it's kind of a collection of essays by Kurt Vonnegut. So it's not really a book. It's more of like his speeches to like graduating classes. But it's pretty good. So give it a shot. It's real short, so you plow through it in a couple hours. Leadership Strategies and Tactics. That's another Jocko Willink book. A little more meaty than Discipline Equals Freedom. Pretty good. If you lead people, if you're in a management role, give it a read. It's pretty good. I think Extreme Ownership is better, and Dichotomy of Leadership is better as well. But this is still pretty good. This is more of a. I'm not gonna say it's a shorter version. It's still pretty long. But it does take those two books and kind of compress them into one book a little bit, but doesn't do it as well. So read those other two books. I think you'll be better off for it. And then maybe read that one as a third book, as a refresher. Let's see. The Obstacle is Away. Another Ryan Holiday book. Amazing. It's about how barriers can be launch pads for a better world, a better life. Very good. More Stoic stuff. Tough Shit is a memoir by Kevin Smith. It's very funny. It's very good. It's very motivational. I love me Kevin Smith. The man can do very little wrong in my eyes. I wasn't a big fan of Yoga Hosers and Tusk, but people liked him, so God bless, Godspeed. That book is, if you want to be a filmmaker, I put that book on your list because it's real. It'll get you. It'll get you in the heart and get you in the brain and get you in the ass. Get you up and moving. Peak Performance. That is one by Brad Stolberg and Steve Magnus. It's pretty good. I liked their other book better, which is The Passion Paradox. But Peak Performance is still pretty good. It's about, things. It's about performance, especially, and how you can perform better. I think Passion Paradox was a better book in a similar vein. I would read Passion Paradox over Peak Performance, but they're both pretty good. So, The Dip was it's by Seth. Oh man, what's his last name? Seth Godin. His marketing genius. It's so good. It's so short. It's like 90 minutes on Audible, and it's about the power of when to quit and why quitting is important and why you should quit more things. So good. I recommend. I pretty much everything I've read by him has been really, really good. So I probably need to check out more of his books. He's written a lot of books, and he has a daily blog, which is crazy, and it's been going for like 10 years. He posts a daily blog post, and it's hit or miss, but like the ones that hit, they hit good, they're big. It's good. Subscribe to it. They're all short. You can read them all in like 3 minutes or less. Next one. If I Understood You, Would I Have This Look on My Face by Alan Alda. Boom. That one was a big. It's all about communication and how he's learned about communicating through acting, and how so many people need to step up their communication game, which I need to in a big way, a huge way. You need to think about how you're presenting your ideas, how yourself, how that person wants to see things. When you go, it's a skill I do not have. But Alan Alda's written some books on it. He's funded a lot of research on it. It's really, I guess I didn't know all that. I just thought he's the actor guy. Real good, and it's a real good performance on Audible, read by Alan Alda as well. So that's a neat one. Thinking in Bets, oh boy, by Annie Duke. That one might be the best book I read last year. It is, she's a World Series poker champion, and also, I don't know if she's a psychologist or like a social doctor person in that kind of realm, but she talks a lot about decision making and how to make better decisions through thinking of everything in life like a bet. Like, her big takeaway is that, like, so many people treat life like it's chess, where you see the whole board and you can make patterns, but the reality is it's more like poker, because you can never have all the information and you just have to make a bet on your decisions based on probability. It's good. It's so good. I can't recommend that one enough. Big. That might be the best one I read last year. Life-changing magic of tidying up. As I said, I've been trying to declutter. Been making a lot of good progress, so I'm reading a lot of books on minimalism. I think that's helping me stay on the path there. That one I think is the best book on minimalism and decluttering. It's pretty good. The Practice is another Seth Godin book. That one reads more like a series of tweets, kind of like longer tweets, because it's like 150 ideas on like how to just like up your game in life and marketing and content if you make content. So it's real good. I'll probably go back and pull some stuff out of it. I feel like any one of the points I could make an entire video about it, and he only talks about it for a page or two, so it's just like, it gives you a lot of things to think about. It's like, I have never had so many different ideas from one single book. So good. Book 40 was Fight Club. Chuck Palahniuk. It's an amazing book, amazing movie. I think the book is better. I go back and forth between what's better, the book or the movie. They're both amazing. The book is good. Read the book. The Power of Full Engagement. That's a pretty good one. It's kind of it's a very basic overview on self-development and like being present. It's kind of generic, not the best, but still good. The Art of Noticing is another book that's kind of Twittery, in the sense it's just like a lot of chunks of ideas. It's pretty good. I felt like there's a lot of exercises, but only about half of them felt like realistic things that I would actually want to do. Badass Your Brand, by, oh man, I had it for a second. It starts with a P. Is her last name? Or is it her first name? Pia Silva? Okay, that could be wrong. It's pretty good advice on, kind of just, if you're a freelancer, it's pretty good advice on just like limiting what you do to what is the Venn diagram of what is most profitable with what you enjoy the most. Just make a product out of that and do that almost exclusively. So it's good advice, something a lot of people don't think about. And the last book I read was number 44 for the year, The End of the World by Don Hertzfeldt. It is, it's kind of an art book, and it's kind of the precursor to World of Tomorrow. It's really good, it's really funny, and it's kind of like an art book, comic book, graphic novel. It's hard to explain. If you can get a copy of it, I'm pretty sure it's out of print. He made a second run, and I pre-ordered the second run. I'm pretty sure the second run sold out too. But if you can get your hands on it, it's real interesting if you like Don Hertzfeldt's films. So there you have it. Those are the 44 books I read in 2020, again, I'm hoping to read 50 books this year. We'll see what happens. I got one done so far. I read, what did I read? Oh, I read Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. It's very good. That one changed my life in a huge way. The short version is basically like, if you take ownership of everything, take responsibility for everything that happens, ask yourself, how could I have made that better? How could I have prevented that problem? Start thinking about the world in that way. Start thinking about things before they happen, and your life will be in a much, much better place. Guarantee it. So, anyway, I hope you're doing well. I hope this video finds you well, and if not, well, I hope that turns around for you real soon. Maybe pick up some books, and you can, find some far-off mentors that can help you out, So, anyway, thank you as always for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all that stuff. Leave some comments, it helps me out. And with that said, I'll see you next time. Have a good one.